What if everything you knew about human history was a lie? Buried beneath modern cities and rewritten timelines, some believe an ancient global civilization once thrived. Vast, technologically advanced, and mysteriously wiped from record. They call it the Tartarian Empire. No textbooks mention it. No mainstream archaeologist will admit it existed. So, why does the evidence refuse to vanish? Chapter 1: The Whisper of Forgotten Giants. The story of Tartaria doesn't begin with a discovery. It begins with an absence. Across the globe, countless monumental structures, sprawling cathedrals, colossal government buildings, intricate star forts stand defiantly, with architectural complexity far ahead of their alleged time. Mainstream history attributes them to European empires or early industrial builders. But to Tartarian theorists, these buildings are clues to a much deeper mystery. Why do similar architectural designs appear across continents with no apparent connection? Why do some 19th century maps depict a vast land called Tartary, covering much of Russia and Asia, while others omit it entirely? In whispers across internet forums, YouTube videos, and speculative blogs, an idea grew louder. What if these structures didn't belong to the civilizations we credit them to? What if they were remnants of a lost empire, one so massive, so advanced, and so threatening to the current narrative that it had to be erased? Chapter 2: The Mapmakers Who Knew Too Much. Old maps are the backbone of the Tartarian conspiracy. If you search deep enough into archives, you'll find 16th to 19th century maps labeling huge parts of Central Asia and Eastern Europe as Tartary or Great Tartary. There was no minor blip on a cartographer's chart. It stretched from modern-day Mongolia to parts of Siberia and even into Eastern Europe. European mapmakers like Ortelius and Mercator included Tartary consistently for centuries. The people labeled Tartars were considered a powerful, somewhat mysterious group outside of the bounds of Western influence. Then, curiously, by the late 1800s, Tartary started to vanish from maps. Textbooks began calling it a misnomer. Historians reduced Tartars to scattered nomadic tribes. A once expansive region was wiped away, not by war, but by pen. Was this just a geopolitical reclassification or deliberate erasure? Chapter 3: The Architectural Anomalies They Can't Explain. Tartarian believers point to a recurring motif: impossibly grand architecture from the 18th and 19th centuries, often built under mysterious or undocumented circumstances. In places like San Francisco, Paris, and St. Petersburg, massive stone buildings with towering domes, intricate carvings, and Greco-Roman designs appear suddenly, frequently in supposed frontier towns, with no logical explanation for how they were constructed so quickly or by whom. Take the World's Fair of the late 1800s. In Chicago, 1893, Buffalo, 1901, and San Francisco, 1915. Entire cities of dazzling temporary neoclassical structures were erected in mere months, then torn down just as fast. The official story claims these structures were made of plaster and wood, facades built for spectacle. But no photographs from the time suggest steel frameworks, complex engineering, and buildings far more permanent than the record admits. Chapter 4: The Mud Flood Mystery. Enter one of the strangest pillars of the Tartarian narrative: the mud flood. In city after city across continents, people began noticing oddities in old buildings. half-buried windows, doors leading to nowhere, and lower levels hidden beneath street level. Photos of 19th century construction often show workers digging down, not building up. Entire basements appear to be the first floors of older structures. What if, they asked, there was a cataclysmic mud flood in the not-so-distant past, an event that buried cities in layers of earth and silt, hiding the true age and scale of Tartarian architecture? This, they claim, is why so many ancient buildings appear built into hillsides, or why excavations constantly reveal deeper structures beneath modern foundations. It's not erosion. It's not a coincidence. It's the remnants of a buried world, one we weren't supposed to see. Chapter 5: Free Energy and Forbidden Technology. Another tantalizing clue. Strange technologies, supposedly hidden in plain sight. Many of the grand Tartarian buildings are crowned with spires, domes, and antennas, features that seem oddly reminiscent of Tesla coils and electrical conductors. Some theorists argue these structures weren't just decorative. They were part of a free energy system that harnessed atmospheric electricity. This idea hinges on the work of Nikola Tesla, who believed the Earth itself could transmit limitless power wirelessly. Tartaria, the theory goes, had already mastered this. Their cities were self-sustaining, using domes and towers to draw energy from the sky. The mainstream timeline says humanity only began harnessing electricity in the late 1800s. But what if we rediscovered something older? Something we had already lost? Why else, they ask, would there be a coordinated effort to destroy or hide these buildings, to replace them with dull brick boxes, skyscrapers, and lifeless designs? Perhaps because the old buildings did more than look pretty. They worked. Chapter 6: The Orphan Train Enigma. In the mid-19th to early 20th century, tens of thousands of children were moved across North America via orphan trains. The official story? They were orphans from overcrowded cities sent west to find new homes. But Tartarian theorists see something far darker. Why were so many children relocated? Where were their parents? And why do so many of these orphans appear in photographs with oddly mature clothing, confused expressions, and no memory of where they came from? One hypothesis suggests these children were survivors, left behind after a great reset, resettled to repopulate areas where adults had vanished. If the Tartarian Empire fell in a sudden apocalyptic event, like a mud flood or energy weapon strike, then perhaps these children were the remnants of that collapse. Raised with no knowledge of their past, the first generation of the New World began with forgotten roots. Chapter 7: The Fires that Erased History. Throughout the late 1800s and early 1900s, a curious pattern emerges. Massive city fires. Chicago, 1871. Boston, 1872. Toronto, 1904. San Francisco, 1906, and dozens more. In nearly every case, the fires started under mysterious circumstances and destroyed key districts filled with Tartarian architecture. Of course, fires were common in wooden cities, but these fires somehow consumed stone, steel, and entire masonry complexes. In many cases, survivors said the destruction was far beyond normal flames. Some described explosions. Others claimed the heat melted metal, as if a directed energy force had been used. Was it a coincidence? Or was it a cleanup, deliberate elimination of the last traces of the Tartarian Empire? Chapter 8: The Great Reset. Before the Great Reset. The term Great Reset has become mainstream in recent years, associated with economic restructuring, but Tartarian theorists argue it's not a new concept at all. They claim a Great Reset happened in the 1800s, possibly global. A cataclysm or coordinated purge wiped out Tartaria and buried its memory. Survivors were scattered, children raised without knowledge. New governments and institutions emerged to take control of the narrative. To maintain this new order, history had to be rewritten, maps changed, textbooks revised, technologies suppressed, structures repurposed. The 19th century, they argue, wasn't the beginning of industrial civilization. It was a reconstruction effort, one built atop the ruins of a forgotten Golden Age. Chapter 9: What mainstream historians say. Unsurprisingly, academic circles reject the Tartarian theory completely. According to historians, Tartary was a vague geographic term used by Europeans to describe parts of Central and Northern Asia, particularly regions ruled by the Mongols or Turkic tribes. They argue that inconsistencies in architecture are easily explained by neoclassical and Beaux Arts styles, popularized during the Enlightenment. As for orphan trains, they point to urban poverty, immigration, and humanitarian reform movements. And mud floods? They're dismissed as natural erosion, urban development quirks, or basements designed to adapt to uneven terrain. To them, Tartaria is a pseudo-history at best, and dangerous disinformation at worst. Chapter 10: Why people believe it anyway. So if experts dismiss Tartaria as a myth, why does the idea persist? Because it scratches a deep itch in the human psyche. It offers mystery, rebellion against authority, and the thrill of hidden knowledge. More importantly, it explains the unexplainable. Why does architecture from the 1800s feel more advanced than what came after? Why does modern construction often seem soulless by comparison? Why are so many timelines oddly tidy? Why do so many ancient cultures speak of floods, resets, and forgotten ages? Tartaria offers answers that history won't. And in a digital age where secrets unravel daily, more people than ever are willing to reconsider the impossible. Chapter 11: Global Echoes of a Vanished Empire. Even outside traditional Tartarian zones, echoes of the theory persist. India's colonial architecture, grand government buildings built by the British in seemingly impossible timeframes. China's Forbidden City. Some point to magnetic alignments and mysterious energy-focused structures. The Middle East and North Africa. Star forts and buried structures hint at something older than Islamic or Roman builders. Could Tartaria have been truly global? Not an empire in the traditional sense, but a shared civilization with principles of design, technology, and energy that we've only begun to rediscover. Chapter 12: The Internet Keeps the Flame Alive. Unlike Atlantis or El Dorado, Tartaria wasn't born in ancient texts. It was born in comment sections, forums, and videos. The internet gave rise to this theory, and it refuses to let it die. Every year, more videos dissect architectural oddities. More Reddit threads uncover anomalies in old photographs. TikTok users walk their cities, pointing to Tartarian windows, towers, and secrets. Tartaria has become a crowdsourced mythos, not controlled by scholars, but shaped by ordinary people, asking uncomfortable questions. Chapter 13. What if it's true? Let's suspend disbelief for a moment. Let's assume Tartaria existed. What does that mean? It means history isn't just incomplete. It's been deliberately altered. It means technological breakthroughs like free energy, global communication, and sustainable architecture were once commonplace. It means the global power structure might be founded not on innovation, but on suppression. It also means humanity once lived in greater harmony with the Earth, building beautiful, functional cities without endless resource extraction or soulless skyscrapers. If Tartaria was real, then maybe our best future lies not ahead, but behind us. Conclusion. A story still being written. No definitive proof confirms the Tartarian Empire ever existed, and yet, in the digital ruins of forgotten photos, blueprints, and anomalies, its shadow lingers. Whether fact, fiction, or something in between, Tartaria forces us to ask questions we've long ignored. What parts of history were erased, and why? What wonders have we forgotten? And more importantly, who decided what we were allowed to remember? Like the buried windows in a mud-flooded city, perhaps the truth still lies just beneath the surface, waiting for us to dig.